Amanda.
I'm Ben.
We are AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Rezero, Season 2, Episode 18. We are in the middle of getting something I never thought we would. I am over the moon, dude. I'm really, like, into Season 2 of Rezero, and it's just continuously getting better and better and giving us more information than I could have hoped for. Last episode, and after it in the discussion, we devolved into trying to find out who Amelia's mom truly is, if it isn't Satella, which I don't think it is, but I don't know. I could be big dumb. I'm loving the show, though.
I'm loving what we're getting in Season 2 also. Last episode made me incredibly happy to be seeing this childhood Amelia, to be meeting Mother Fortuna. We obviously got some things that we were quite surprised about last episode, but going into this next episode, we can't forget that what we're encroaching upon is the moment of breakage for Amelia in the past. And Echidna is pointing that out, that we are coming upon the memories that are going to be incredibly hard for Amelia to be standing there and witnessing.
Yeah.
And that would also mean they are going to be hard for us to witness. And so I wish I had brought tissues. I'm kind of regretting the decision to not have tissues right here because I'm a little bit nervous.
I am terrified what Regulus is going to do.
Yeah.
I'm terrified. What he's going to elicit, what he's going to cause. But, as a viewer, it could help us know what we might need to do more specifically to help Rem because of the interaction there. But, I don't know. You ready? Sweet. Ah, okay.
The memories of Ryuzume. And why do we need to know it now?
Oh my god.
Thinks of her as a mother.
This is wild to see. The witch and her daughter. God.
Then she supposes. Aww. Just this much, I suppose. Stop, I'm gonna cry. I love Beatrice so much.
What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? I didn't think it was all happening at the same time. That was the Rosewell 7. Okay.
Exceedingly common presence. Oh my gosh. This has to be a key to helping save Beatrice.
Oh my god. Holy shit. Some worthless spirit. What authority? Pandora?
Apologize to my brother and his wife.
Oh, fuck,
no.
Fortuna.
Authority.
Jesus Christ.
Who the hell is she? Find out what happens here. The unseen hand!
Uh-huh. Oh my god.
He does this in order to protect the seal and Amelia? The unseen hand.
She could see it, though, I'm assuming, right? Or at least
I-
knew that it was gonna happen.
Look at that smile.
What you see here is hope.
Love.
Oh my god. The Witch of Vanity.
That mother and her child.
Chosen by the witch factor for the payment it requires. Oh!
The strength of one's will could affect the outcome. Puts her in the tree. We'll end this time.
The mission of the forest dwellers.
The memories she's just now getting back.
You're lying. You're a liar.
No! Oh my god.
What the fuck?
What is that? The
What?
black serpent.
Oh! Holy shit!
It's still spreading. He wasn't able to stop it. No matter what you hear.
Oh! Don't criticize him too harshly. Bishop.
特別で完成された不完全な彼らもまた素晴らしいの。手間ばかりかけさせ。あれ？様、エミリア様。アーチに任せて外へ逃がしたわ。よかったです。できたかと思えばいきなり何様のつもりなのかな。だって誰の許しがあって僕の邪魔をするんだよ。何ですかパンドラ様。怒りを抑えてください。ここで殺害することは許しませんってどうも思わないのですか。
What authority?
僕に怒りを抑えろと命令したのか。いい気になるなよ。僕にふざけた口を聞くからこうなる。するな。僕の話を遮るな。どうかお逃げに。バカなこと言わないで。
What?
なぜそんな。あなたを死なせない。もしあなたが死ぬのならその傍らにいるため。あなたがいない世界であなたが来なくなった森で私に何を待てというの。
What would I have to wait
あな
for?
たという存在のない長い時間を弱い私は耐えられない。あなたが弱いなどと。あなたとエミリアの前で強がっていただけで。が長と僕という存在を無視した挙句に盛り上がる区別できない貴様に。私は待てとそう言いましたよ、コルニアス司教。もう全てを許しましょう。あなたをお連れした目的は達せられました。
My goal in bringing you here is
い
already.
ただいて結構ですよ。でおいて満足したからもう帰れって。
It's like seeing that expression and devotion.
では私の方でここにいるはずがない。彼は自分の屋敷に囲まれて過ごしている。シートの方にはご退場願いました。無理お話ができますね。その前に一つバラバラになって死んだはずよね。の見間違いではありませんか。コルニアス司教がいないのでないの結果が消えるのも通り。これは
She's like rewriting history.
But I will not rewrite your being overtaken.
あなたの行いと彼女の行いに称賛したいのです。
She says she's vanity.
フォルトナ様、二人で彼女を打倒するのです。
If she can rewrite things, how do you do that?
できること。とこしえの眠りを強いる古の我が命姫。
Oh my god.
ここにこのためおいでなさい。
What is she trying to do to Amelia?
まで抱いて味合わせてください。フォルトナ母様、ジュース、鍵と封印をここに。
No! Does she do it to try to stop her? If that's what you want, no! No!
Holy shit. What's the key? How do you get there? What is this song? They're gonna show her the way. Is there malice behind it, or is it a response to what Amelia really wants?
I'll be a good girl.
ようこそ。お待ちしておりました。
She's the key.
Okay, that was season 2, episode 18 of Rezero. I'm a wreck. This is one of those times that I'm like, I don't want to do a discussion.
I was literally thinking the same thing before we even started, which is literally a split second after we ended the episode, but the split second after the episode ended, I was like, I don't feel ready, equipped, prepared to talk about this.
Oh, man.
Especially because it's like, it's one of those things, okay, ReZero does this often, where they split the episodes up and, like, something happens in the first half that's, like, following certain characters, and then something else happens, like, in the other half of the episode. Like, Otto's
right.
episode. You get half of the episode with Otto, and then it changes to another powerful moment. And it's kind of hard to grasp, like, okay, I'm trying to process this giant happening of Betty and Ryuzu at the beginning of this episode. That was a lot. That was, I would say, enough of, like, a brain fucking with my brain, a brain tease. That was enough of, like, a what the hell and how and why and when and where. I need time to process this and understand it. And then we go back into Amelia's memories and introduce us to a fucking character I've never seen before in my life with a name we've never heard of.
Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, the idea that something like what we got at the beginning of this episode between Ryuzu and Betty and Echidna and fucking Roswell was so massive.
But it wasn't even like our Roswell.
It was so massive that in any other episode, that's immediately what I'm coming off of the episode to talk about. But in this discussion, like right going into it, I forgot that it even happened for a second because of like how powerful and big must the rest of the episode have been to put me in the state that I'm in. That this thing that any other time
Especially
I'd want to
Betty.
just talk about mainly and try to dissect and understand. And at the moment, I'm just like, fuck.
For our love of Betty, especially,
Yeah.
any other show, what the big thing, the big takeaway, the big discussion point of the episode would have been what happens in the first part. Honestly, I'm curious how many minutes in comparison the whole Betty Ryuzu Roswell was in comparison to, you know, the rest of the episode within Amelia's memories. Like, I feel like what we got with Betty and Ryuzu feels like weight-wise, like it had more time, and maybe
7.5 minutes.
That's so wild to give you something so huge and mind-blowing and give it to you in 7 minutes and then go into something like also huge and mind-blowing. No other show does that. And if they do, it's rare. But I feel like ReZero always does this. They always partner giant things, like one after the other, like dominoes. Like Subaru dying, Subaru realizing something new in order to save people, learning something new about the witches, make something that's more fan servicey and happy for the viewer because of their love of Otto.
I don't know what to talk about. Because there's so much chronological.
Okay, but can I say something real quick
before
we get compliments to ReZero in how they choose to pace kind of how the story is going in episodes, because how can you have the Rem and Subaru conversation having an entire episode just on a conversation and then go into the pacing of something like this past episode and it not feel rushed? It feels dynamic. It feels epic. It feels mind-blowing. They can do both. ReZero can do both. It can do emotional and slow and like yearning and endearing and just internally like really connected, like Subaru and Amelia's heartfelt conversation a few episodes ago, and then it can do something like this fucking episode.
I was talking about it in another discussion of not understanding and being very curious as to the production side of things for ReZero, because from my knowledge of anime and the industry, what little that is, the idea of trying to push an episode of something even to the 25-minute mark, 25 minutes and 0 seconds, that takes a lot of effort. And to be able to go out and give us 29 minutes and 29 seconds of an episode,
no intro, no outro to fill up space,
is so fucking it's so awesome, because I have seen so many shows that are plagued by production issues, whether it's animation or whether it's directing or whether it's time management and pacing. But if I if there was another universe where this episode existed and it was 22 minutes long, I would have, I think, disliked it. And I think that this is one of my favorite episodes of ReZero.
It's like they're aware.
It's so perfect.
They're totally aware of when they're willing to cut into intro and outro time because they're like, we can't stop on this note, and we're also not going to remove information.
Exactly.
And remove moments from, like, the source material. At least
That's how
I'm
it
imagining
feels,
they
obviously.
don't remove anything from the source material. I believe it's probably a manga. Haven't read it, obviously, so I don't know if they're excluding information.
But if
it doesn't feel like
exactly. Even if they are, it doesn't feel, it feels so well crafted. Like, that's what I mean by I don't think I think I would have disliked this episode if it was 22 minutes, because they would have had to taken a second off of this.
Mm-hmm.
And if they did, it would be a worse product, because this is untouchable. You don't touch that. You don't touch what I am. Okay. All right.
Okay,
Ryuzu
now
and
we
Betty.
can go chronologically.
Ryuzu and Betty. Throughout their first interactions, I'm immediately, like, blown away because it's weird seeing Betty outside of a library or the mansion itself.
Right.
And seeing her react with Ryuzu as complete strangers at first was amazing. Ryuzu Mayer, right?
Some characters I at least never thought were ever going to interact, even though I knew that Betty was tied to Echidna.
Yeah.
As of recently, we've known that. It still did not occur to me that she would have had any interaction with Ryuzu. So that is interesting, definitely. And this is before the Sanctuary became the Sanctuary. The memories of Ryuzu Mayer before the Sanctuary is what Shima is telling us about.
Yeah. And, like, looking at what Betty's relationship really was like seeing an example of it with Echidna makes it so much worse. Like, to know what Echidna's done to Betty.
It's like
because of all the trust Betty has within Echidna.
A twisted mother. Because, like, what it is, like, it's a twisted mother because inherently a mother would want their child to grow and connect with others and be able to find independence and choose to do something for themselves and not live by the rules of another or by their mother who has, like, left them. And so in a twisted way, Echidna's like, oh, I'm curious to see who she'll decide to, like, you know, love and follow, and I'm not telling her what to do anymore, but she obviously is still refusing to do anything for herself and choose anything.
What I'm more specifically, like, focusing on is Echidna being like, she's like a daughter to me, but Betty being like, no, I am a daughter to you. Like, you can see the amount of, I might be overstepping here and assuming too much, but the amount of trust Betty has within Echidna, which makes the reveal episodes ago about what Betty's trying to do and what Echidna basically sent her down the path of doing so much more fucked up.
What also makes it more fucked up is we get lines of dialogue that lead us to believe that Betty is in fact an actual child here and not a spirit.
Exactly.
She is an actual child who views Echidna as her mother, and hence why she'd be even more attached.
Yeah.
And even more willing to do whatever her mother said, even more insistent that Echidna is her mother, even more willing to please. It's even more incredibly fucked up.
I loved seeing, you know, the relationship between Ryuzu and Betty. It was very pure and nice. It just, like, is obviously in the back of my mind, like, fuck, this is, like, fucked up knowing what's to come.
One of the lines I wrote down from while Echidna was still talking to them. So Betty, at first, when meeting Ryuzu, is like, more kind of cold, and how she, like, her normal personality from what we know her. But Echidna says to her, it's true that you are special, but it's not to look down on others that you are special.
Yeah.
And I wrote that down because I liked it.
Seeing the Roswell scene fucking blew my mind. And
Beatrice was in the Sanctuary and Roswell too?
That was the Roswell-sama of several generations ago. So obviously I'm gonna try to understand that as just a descendant of Roswell, right?
Yes, that is also what I took it as.
Yeah. But Roswell's whole idea of life and how he views it is into question.
Yes. It's crazy to think how similar looking this former family member, this original Roswell, looked to the current Roswell, what I would imagine a childhood current Roswell would look like.
God, I know for a fact this is gonna be one of those times that the second we leave this room,
we're gonna think of things.
I'm gonna be upset that we weren't able to in the discussion talk about everything that we were able to see. But at the moment, it was not just so much good shit that I was trying to write down and remember. It was emotionally tearing me apart, which makes everything harder. But specifically about the Ryuzu and Betty stuff, I know there's going to be stuff I want to talk about, more about it in the intro, at least next episode.
No, I definitely agree with you. Before we leave it, because I feel like we're at the point where we switch to Amelia and the memories. Before we leave it, Subaru's goal now in this hopefully last trial of, getting through this arc alive and succeeding is to save everyone.
Yeah.
To save the sanctuary and to save the mansion. We don't yet know, obviously, because we're not at the mansion, how he plans on saving Betty and everyone in the mansion. But I feel like what we learn here for the past of Betty, why else would it be told to us now unless we needed it in order to complete the mission of saving the sanctuary and the mansion?
Yeah.
It obviously has purpose. Subaru needs to be hearing about Ryuzu Mayor and needs to be hearing about the memories of Ryuzu Mayor and needs to be hearing that Betty was incredibly involved, that there was a line that was like, Ryuzu Mayor's memories, Beatrice-sama has an incredible presence in them, that Beatrice is always in Ryuzu's memories.
Yeah, trying to bridge the gap between the Betty, Echidna, Ryuzu into the sanctuary, into Amelia's being, is something that's that I need to be trying to do, and I will continue to be trying to do throughout the discussion. But one of the things that I wanted to note before we go into more of, the Amelia side of things is the way and weight Echidna has to her in while alive. This was the first time we were able to see what she was like.
One of the witches while they're still alive and not just in the graveyard having been killed by Satella.
It was so similar to how Pandora carried herself. The idea that
they're rulers of their own organizations or groups or villages.
They're godlike.
They're godlike.
I'm trying to we're using terms like bishop, right?
Right.
This doesn't even in my our world's understanding of bishop, I wouldn't put a witch in replace of pope. I'd put a witch in place of an archangel or just another level up of authority and presence and potential that they have. We're trying to go chronologically, but I want to bring that up so that we can talk about it when we get to Pandora, because I think there's a lot I feel like we need to unpack there.
I mean, you wouldn't be surprised that all of these witches probably, depending on their personalities and if they wanted a following, they would have had a following.
Yeah.
They would have had an organization, a church, a group of people who prayed to them, followed them. They could be leaders of their own cities. There's a lot that they could have done and probably did do because of their immense power.
Yeah.
If they were the most powerful people in this, I don't know, country, world, then of course, if they so pleased, they would hold positions of high power.
Yeah. So, what was the full title we were given for Pandora?
I just thought it was Pandora. But that could just be me, blanking.
Vanity.
Vanity. Oh, yes. Vanity.
When were we given that? Okay, I'm going too far
early
ahead of myself.
introduction.
Gosh,
Yeah,
it's so difficult. There's so much I want to talk about. Well, in talking about the first instance we get back with Amelia, we're being caught up with what's going on for Jusu and
Regulus.
and Fortuna and what's going on there. Jesus Christ. I like immediately at the end of last episode, I'm like, well, not only do I know this ends up not in a great way, but Regulus, he exudes like, oh, we're fucked. We're fucked here. So like I was not hopeful to begin with. And then
he wants to protect this in order to almost protect Hope.
Yeah.
That he feels obviously incredibly nervous by this, incredibly nervous by the appearance of Pandora, as is Fortuna. And like incredibly angry on Fortuna's
and
end,
he
actually
came only because Fortuna commanded him to.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then we get the introduction of her just standing behind him. I was like, who the fuck is this? I thought I had all like the players accounted for, right?
Right. Upon her appearance, we get this line from Fortuna that is, apologize to my brother and his wife.
Yeah.
What did Pandora do to the brother and the wife? Also, you know, that leads into the question of why does she want the seal and the key? But, like, right now in this moment, what did she do to the brother and the wife? Why? Obviously, we could understand why Jusa would have such confusion, maybe fear here by seeing Pandora, because Pandora holds some type of position of power over him as a bishop, and he believes he was sent here with a specific purpose, but now things are changing. He's feeling a loss of control, confused, fear, definitely. Fortuna is also feeling maybe fear, but I would say primarily anger upon this person's presence here. Like, how dare you show your face here after what you did to my brother and his wife? And I'm like, what did she do to your brother and his wife?
Do you have any guesses?
Make it so they had to leave Amelia? I feel like it would have to be tied to Amelia, and maybe the fact that they couldn't raise her or couldn't be with her, that Pandora had some sort of influence on that. Because Fortuna, her primary priority is Amelia.
Yeah.
And caring for Amelia's well-being. And so I feel like her, and very into protecting the family, protecting the brother's wife, Jusa, like Amelia, and everyone that lives here in the forest. I feel like her anger has to come from a place where Pandora had some effect of hurting the parents and making it so that they couldn't be with Amelia and raising her.
Yeah. And like, it's so interesting because Jusu, like, obviously is aware of Pandora. It's like, what the fuck? Why are you here? You know? Mm-hmm. Like, what, at this point, what is Pandora's role in this world? Because we haven't gotten, I don't think, I might have passed it already, the title of, like, Vanity, right? But I assume...
How many original sins are there?
There's 7. Okay, so I'm getting there. For sure. But I want to, like, have the title of Pandora be shown on screen first, so we, like, know what actual language was used. But obviously, she's well known from at least Jusu and...
For the witch's cult, and Fortuna's pissed at her.
Apologize to my brother and wife.
We shred her up. Obviously, it doesn't work. She's able to survive literally anything. How do you defeat a woman like that?
I love that Regulus hates the idea that he's just being ignored, you know?
Yeah. He has a really high ego, which we already knew from our first meeting with him, with Krush and Rem. We already knew that he had this, like, high ego and this confidence about him. But he's incredibly unhinged when he feels like he's being ignored or being told to do something that he doesn't want to do.
Yeah. Have a good journey in reference to
the witch factor.
Holding up the witch factor, and it looks like the unseen hand. and he says, "Please forgive me, Flugel," right?
Which is a name we've heard, and I can't place it. Or it's a Mandala effect, and we've never heard it. I don't know at the moment, but it sounds so freaking familiar. Like it's some type of lore or person in the past in history of a name that we've heard.
It would have been in season 1, right?
It would have been in season 1 probably. And I don't know if I'm making that up. But that's how it feels right now, is that this was a name that is of lore or in the history books of this world. And not someone that we've met.
Yeah. I feel like it's like on the tip of my tongue.
Does it sound familiar to you as well?
Yeah, but it could be from any other anime.
Yeah, what if it's a name that we've heard from somewhere else?
See, my issue here is that I'm trying to sort through what information I have for notes for Rezero right now, and I have 2 notebooks in hand, and both of them combined only go back to episode 14. So anything before that I don't have on me currently.
It probably was really... It probably was, like, obscure or early on in Rezero that it was brought up.
I feel like such a failure for not knowing. But in using this, like, just for a second, I want to talk and appreciate what Jusu's character has been. To take a character who was so twisted and demented in season 1, and the highest praise I had for that character was the voice actor and, like, the writing behind the action of him. But seeing what he did here, like, I was mourning him. I was so, like, fuck yeah, you're doing everything you can. You're risking every ounce of your being here to protect these people.
It's a battle of resolve and will of whether he's able to even handle the witch factor.
Yeah. And Pandora's like reaction to it, right? Like immediate applause, tears, magnificent. It's like, you know what it reminds me of? It gives me so Echidna. Echidna's like desire for knowledge and like the emotions and actions that people are, you know, portraying and showing in front of them is like hits her a different way. And that's what I get from Pandora too.
Pandora seems to be one that likes to appreciate and be entertained by the actions of others and their resolve.
Yeah.
She responds favorably to this choice here of taking this witch factor. She responds multiple times to Regulus about not criticizing someone with such resolve so harshly.
Yeah.
And then she's also very she tries to stop Regulus when she sees this display of like almost love in front of her.
Well, not love, but also, because we're right here, what do you see with those crimson eyes? Bishop Romani Conti. Love, right?
Mm-hmm.
I will not let you pursue those two. Oh, it's so good. I will not let you get past me. Because then he has another line, like a second later, I swear, that he brings up hope, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, a splendid
show. Your resolve.
Bishop Petal Jusu, in the name of the Witch of Vanity, for your resolve and steadfast will, I grant you the title of Sloth.
Do you think I desire such a title?
There's only one thing I desire. Okay, there are more great lines to come, but in the name of the Witch of Vanity, does that imply that she is the Witch of Vanity, or is she acting on behalf of a Witch of Vanity?
Okay, so we could go on the behalf thing because we get both Betty and Ryuzu as the first core of this episode.
Yeah.
And would Regulus have tried to kill the Witch of Vanity upon being so angry? I feel like the authority of Pandora, at the moment, I'd have to understand it as something that Regulus is like enough where he initially respects it.
Yeah.
But if you annoy him too much, he's like, F you. And I don't think that he'd handle that if it was like literally the superior being of the witch.
See, okay.
But there's Pandora is obviously very powerful.
Okay. We have like I'm accessing like the very religious Catholic Christian aspects of like my my youth, right? And like high school and stuff, what was taught to me. In terms of just like sins, right? Deadly sins. Vanity, from what I remember, is an example of the sin of pride. It is not a sin in of itself. And we already know the Witch of Pride being Typhon. Now, I don't know if, like, there are branches off of, like, the sins, right? But it could be Pandora acting on behalf of Typhon and just using a different word, but I don't think it is. Have a very, like, a just stomach feeling that she is a witch, Pandora is a witch, and that doesn't make sense to me, because at this point in time within Amelia's life, I would have thought that the witches are gone, right? It depends how long she's frozen, but like I would think that the witches would be gone.
Right, and we've seen two things happening in the past here, far, far, far in the past, before the sanctuary, and then Amelia before she was frozen. Are those the same time periods? How different are they? Great questions there.
Yeah.
I would imagine that I could see them possibly being around the same time.
Her authority and presence is so similar to me to Echidna that it would be very hard for me to believe that she isn't a witch, or at least something akin to it, or very close to it.
How she views things is very similar to the nature of how the witches view things. You know, it could be that in this world there were many witches, and the ones that are given the, like, prime sin titles are the ones that are the most powerful. And the ones that influence history the most.
How do you become a witch? Are you born a witch, or do you have to do something that leaves your humanity behind, that causes you to transcend into a being of a witch?
Right. Is it just you are such a powerful, I guess, you're so powerful as a mage in your own respective ways of interacting with the world?
It seems like all the witches had like Echidna's insane, right? You're so obsessed with one aspect, with one thing, that it drives this like madness, insanity that it seems like all the witches have.
And then when someone swallows a witch factor, they are then driven also by an insanity or a strong desire for one specific thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, what we get with Betelgeuse later, like in season 1, is this like the witch, the love, sloth, like he's so the insane laughter. I think the episode title was like the first time he laughs or something. And that just reminds me of the first episode and how insanely, like, he was even distracted by showing of love or sloth.
Yeah.
In Subaru, like, he would take a second to revel in it or admire it.
Do you think it like broke through to like the person he was, like at all, and like Subaru now has this, and it was like, intended or not, of course, passed down through Jusu, and that's beautiful in its own right. That's fucking phenomenal writing. Oh my god, dude.
There's so much more to try to understand.
We're not gonna get it all.
And the thing is, I don't think we've been given maybe we've been given everything we need to come up with it, but I feel like to fully understand it or be given the best viewing experience, I think it's okay that we don't truly understand. I think there's way more to come that's going to fill in blanks for us.
What do you... So, obviously, there's a reason Pandora's here.
Right, and that is for the seal and the key.
Assuming, just for a second, I don't even think it matters that much, but assuming that Pandora's a witch, what would opening up a seal... Like, what do you need? If you have the ability to... Let's pull up the interaction between where she teleports this dude away for a second, just to try to see the language that was used by her. God, it was so fucking
She comes
cold.
from the sky and just basically knocks him into the ground. It is great.
Yeah, what kind of
Amazing.
fool do you think I am? I see, then I will take it upon myself. Bishop Cornelius should not be here. He is in his own mansion, surrounded by his wives. Disappears. Like, it reminds me of the books, right?
Oh yeah, like you're writing the history.
Yeah, it reminds me of the books that Betty has and Roswell has a little bit.
Mhm.
But the idea of just, like, the way that she's speaking, it's like a commandment. It's like she's commanding this to happen.
She's currently writing the book of what will happen.
What would she need? Somebody who can do this. What are you opening up a seal for? Did we got more specific language about it, I thought.
All I know is there was lines like "the world will end this time."
Yeah.
If-
When was that?
I think it was when Archie walked up to Fortuna and Amelia that it was said.
I agree with you.
And I was like, this time.
Mother Fortuna, God, I was weeping. How did they find out about it? That's a big, like, the
Right.
seal. It was
a secret?
Yeah. Like, to whatever this is so important that its existence for achieving or obtaining was hidden. And there was a leak of information to have.
But there was a member of the church or the witches cult, if you will, that did know about it.
Yeah. Even that woman, fine, I'll be ready. God, her disdain. Fortuna's disdain for Pandora. Here's the line of dialogue. What happens if I run away now? If they get their hands on the seal, the world will end this time. I'm assuming that it's referencing a past time that it almost ended,
Why you
but it
had
didn't.
to seal it away was because whatever you're sealing away is too powerful that it could end the world, and or too prized that it would cause like a mass fighting that would cause war.
I'm imagining that it's like a power in my mind for like this second, or like an ability that it's like that like having somebody like Pandora obtaining it is too, like, if that happened in the past, if somebody opened up a seal in the past and got whatever it was that almost drove the world to ending, and then it needed to be sealed again. I'm assuming, what if it was Pandora last time too? Or through the attempt of trying to get it is what happened to Amelia's dad and mom or stepmom, you know? Fortuna's siblings.
The only thing I can think of if the seal gets broken, I think it's at least pretty obvious to me in my like train of thought that once the seal is broken, that is when winter takes over and everyone is frozen.
You think?
That's what I'm thinking, that's like the world ending, kind of like everything's covered in ice. We think about Puck and when he decides to end the world and just kind of blankets it in snow and ice upon his like the daughter's death, Amelia's death.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I guess, like, from the idea of this door being there with snow around it, it definitely gives off, like, whatever's in there is cold.
Mm-hmm.
But
Is Puck what's sealed away?
What if, like, what is sealed is what gives it? What if Amelia has what was sealed? Like the power to this, like, snow power, this ice power, because we haven't seen her use it yet as a child, right?
Right. We see
we've
Fortuna
utilize something similar.
Yeah.
But okay, so two ideas, both ending in the same thing. I think Amelia's gonna be the thing that ends up freezing everything. I think it's going to either be that the seal's about to be opened, and Amelia, through like emotion or something, accidentally freezes everything around. I think it would fuck Pandora too. I don't know why, but the idea, because we know the present, right? It doesn't seem like we're living in a world that Pandora gets what she wants here.
Mm-hmm.
Or the seal's opened somehow because of family or parents or, you know, potential, Amelia's able to use it, and that's what causes something that stops Pandora here.
I think the two choices, I think we've seen either of the choices of what could be the happening of the freezing over. Across media, there's these two choices where you have the kid, and through their emotions, this horrible consequence happens, or by unlocking the door, you're unleashing some form of monster. The consequences of opening the door and letting out something.
Yeah.
There's those two choices, that it's Amelia's emotions and a power within Amelia taking over that's able to do this, that is out of her control, which I think inherently both of those could tie into how much she views everyone hating her even once she's woken up.
Yeah.
We get this lovely kind of like repetition of what we know her to speak like and feel, even as a child, as she's on Archie's back, being like, should I have stayed in my room? Everyone hates me. And it brings you back to other content we've gotten of Amelia once she's woken up, but also we know that she still holds on to a lot of those feelings. She still holds on to the childhood feelings of how important a promise is.
Amelia just asking Archie, like, would this have happened if I didn't break my promise and I stayed in my room? That was devastating.
Mm-hmm.
Archie blowing off his own foot, like, to stop.
But it didn't stop it. It still keeps
It
spreading.
slowed it down for a second.
And we've heard of the Black Serpent.
Man. I wrote down just in the moment, because I was like, the voice acting from Fortuna and Amelia as a child was fantastic this episode. It was great.
It was really nice to hear Fortuna call Amelia Leah before leaving.
Yeah, it was. I had something that was like entrusting you of illegible in terms of the conversation between Fortuna and Archie. I think that's when it happened, but I think that it was just entrusting Archie with like the mission of
getting Amelia out of the forest.
Yeah. And it's so interesting because like Pandora, the way that she's talking, like, don't criticize this so harshly. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like other people need to see what I'm seeing. And they
need to realize the beauty in what I'm seeing and appreciate things, and not just act so rashly and stomp over what she views as like an incredible display of exactly what she finds the most beautiful in this world.
So much.
It totally gives Witch.
What do you think about the spirits? I'm having trouble discerning if they are doing what they're doing it out of care for Amelia and being like, Amelia's really determined. This little girl really wants to find this. That's her only hope. We're going to help her find it. Or if they're egging her on in a malicious way. Like, oh, I'm going to take her to this so I get something out of it. Or this happens, you know?
It's interesting. The spirit art users, we've already been introduced to them. We know a few spirits.
Wasn't Jusu referred to as a spirit this episode?
Yes.
A worthless spirit. Do you think that that's something akin to like the afterlife?
Yes.
I don't know.
I think that to try to understand if they had any malice, I go down a couple paths with trying to piece together if I think they have any malice, and one of those is this idea of possibly equating them more similarly to the witches in terms of like their lack of humanity. Like, they aren't necessarily thinking about consequences or thinking things as like black and white, good and evil.
Yeah.
They have their own kind of warped sense of whatever is good, and then it's because Amelia wants to find it that they are willing to help her because she can be a spirit art user.
Yeah.
And then the other is, I think goes in tandem with that, is that Amelia has always referred to them as fairies. Mm-hmm. And fairies are known to be like mischievous. But then we're told they're not fairies, they're spirits, and you give her a proper understanding of it. And so it's like either of those could go into like trying to understand if they're being mischievous and playful, if they know the consequences that would happen, if they don't know the consequences, and so they're just like, okay, Amelia, you want this? We're gonna help you.
Pandora has to be the reason Jusu's the way that he was in season 1, right? Like, the idea of how she admired him and his action and her refusal to rewrite him overtaking the sloth witch factor. Like the only way that I could imagine this is like through the outcome of their attempt at beating her, she kills or gets rid of Fortuna and then writes it as that Jusu will go on being a sloth, like having the sloth witch factor and being an archbishop.
And it introduces this idea that his life is now entirely living by a book in which he does whatever it's written in it.
Which we've seen from Echidna and Betty.
Right. I think something that is curious that in terms of formatting or ways to view the story as the viewer for this episode is that there's lines from Echidna to Amelia like, okay, we need to actually go to where you are with Fortuna. We can't stay here to view this, and you know that.
Yeah.
But then we, the viewer, get to follow Fortuna back.
Yeah.
And we get to see things that Amelia can't. I think that's important to bring up. Is Amelia's not seeing this. This is not Amelia's memories. We're being given this knowledge that Amelia doesn't necessarily get to see.
That's so interesting.
I just thought of that. I was like, this isn't what Amelia's not maybe even going to know what the aftermath is unless she actually sees the ending, the actual aftermath.
Or is told by Pandora.
Or is told by someone. Exactly. Like, she's not witnessing this. And the only reason I feel like that's important is because Echidna literally says to her, you know that you need to be following yourself and not being here. Like, you can't take advantage of the fact that Echidna has all of the knowledge. You need to go see your memories.
Yeah.
That's the trial.
Did we get much expression from Echidna in relation to Pandora? And Pandora's, like, being?
I mean, I feel like Echidna also doesn't really care.
I feel like Echidna doesn't like Pandora, but that's just, I don't know. That's just
I don't know if we got
Echidna.
anything more than just her kind of blankness that she's had since she's been with Amelia, which is like, I don't want to be here, but it's fine, you insufferable woman.
Yeah. God. Seeing them give all they had to try to
stop Pandora and
they're
Regulus.
So adamant that, like, this is for Amelia. If we don't stop her now, she's fucked, right?
Yeah. They will give their all. And seeing the blood coming from the eyes, that is an awful sight. That is an awful sight.
Sometimes I feel like I'll watch a character do the wrong decision, like from my high horse and be like, why would you do that? Not fucking here, dude. Like, I'm, like, crying with Amelia on completely understanding why she's trying to do this and why this makes sense to her.
One of the last things I wrote down was Pandora knew Amelia would do this. That is why Pandora's like, I've been waiting for you. Pandora knew that if Amelia was witness to and heard what she wanted, that this child, knowing that she, like, could help others, would choose to do that. And so she is waiting for Amelia to be there. She knows that I'm going to guess Amelia's the key to unlocking the seal. And that is why Pandora is waiting for her to be there and needs Amelia to arrive there. But Pandora obviously sets things into motion, and her presence alone, I think, is why Amelia goes here.
Do you think it's her presence alone, or do you at all think that it's because of her ability? And if it isn't, why? Like, for somebody like Pandora to have such an insane seemingly power, right, that is akin to what almost Satella is given to Subaru, or a cousin of it, this transcending, like, of, I don't know, physics, reality, like, why couldn't she just be like, I'm going to get the key and the seal right now. I'm going, like, it
right,
obviously.
And her motives aren't known by Regulus, who she even brought, because he's surprised to see her there. So in that same way where we're told that no one should know about this seal, it seems like Pandora is also working in her own motive without letting everyone else in on what that is.
Yeah, and it feels like whatever the seal is, it transcends Pandora's power. Like,
Mhm.
she's not able to just cheat and get it, you know?
Right.
I wonder if, like if she can't, if Amelia is so special that, like, Pandora's ability wouldn't work on her.
I feel like Pandora also could have been using the fact that her showing up makes it even more so that Fortuna leaves Amelia's side, and maybe you needed to get Fortuna to leave Amelia's side in order to get Amelia to come here.
Interesting.
Giving her to Archie. Archie could be overpowered by the serpent.
Do you, like, I was thinking, oh, what if the serpent only showed up because Fortuna was like, whoever's taking Amelia away, deal with them, you know? I don't know. Well, okay, I have a question for you. Do you think Regulus has any, like, recollection of what happened? Or this erases his memory back to the point that he was never asked or commanded from Pandora?
That's fun.
It would have to be, right? Because Jusu has a hand back.
It's phrased as rewrite.
Yeah, and Jusu gets his hand back.
Yeah.
So it's literally rewriting the outcome that it took to get here.
Also, Regulus has multiple wives.
But it doesn't affect the situation that they're in. It's so bizarre. But yeah, he does have multiple wives and a mansion.
And that was the most important takeaway of this episode.
What does that mean? What a power. Like,
to have multiple wives?
Yeah.
I know. To be able to keep all those women happy.
But Pandora's, like, ability, man. That is up there with the idea of return by death.
I would agree with that, which would lead more also
Witch.
to her being a witch.
But why is she alive now? Am I misremembering or out of pocket for being, like, in my interpretation at this moment in time with Amelia and Lady Fortuna, I don't think there are witches around. But I guess I don't necessarily have anything other than a feeling to go off of there, right?
Yeah, that's nothing other than a feeling. Especially because we know that time passes with Amelia being frozen.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna be able to get anything else out until maybe we have some processing time.
Is there any connection between the reason for the sanctuary and what is happening with the seal and Amelia right now? Like, with the, like, I'm wondering if the sanctuary is almost like a parallel to the freezing happening, because it's like a radius of things being sealed.
Right. We were told that, like, the sanctuary was both a place to protect those that weren't human and give them a place to live, while also kind of protecting the witch's graveyard. And it could be that was needed and necessary because of whatever event happens here, especially with the line of the world will end this time.
But it feels like such a different era or place because it has to deal with Echidna and Betty and Ryuzu. And we know how long ago that was, roughly, because of knowing which Ryuzu it was.
Right, and there could have been many years of Ryuzu and Betty being close after the moment that we saw.
Yeah. God. I am drained.
Yeah, no,
I
feel
love
that
this
too.
show so much.
I don't have anything else that I could kind of pull out for this episode because I do feel incredibly drained because of how, I'm going to say, epic and dynamic and
emotional,
mind-blowing and emotional and confusing and, like, who the hell is that person and why are these characters on screen together that this episode was for me. It is incredibly draining. Who knows, might have more to say upon reflection and having
editing,
some time and maybe editing. We might fight over who gets to edit it just so they can, get to see the secrets, unlock the secrets.
The last thing, because, like, I'm solely going off of stuff that I was able to write down at this point, but there was a song that they used, like, during the peak of emotions in this episode that reminded me a lot of one of the songs in Demon Slayer. It was like do 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 do.
Oh, okay.
Do 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 do. That's like the Demon Slayer iteration of it, but it was very similar in this.
Where was it?
In Fortuna and Amelia's Goodbye, I believe.
Oh.
Let's see if. Yeah, okay, here. I think.
Da-na-na-na-na. Okay.
Yeah. It was the start, but then it
Yeah.
deviated and changed. But, God, I can't wait.
For the next episode?
Yeah.
Because we're about to see what Amelia has to see. What she has to remember. It's like, I thought we were going to get that in this episode, and then they were like, let's actually tell you all these other things you didn't even know.
If it's Amelia freezing it, that would make sense. Like, especially if she hurt other people. Like,
Mhm.
imagine that there are villagers like that obviously we know that were frozen.
Mm-hmm.
If it would be so traumatic to know that she was the reason, and this is the event that it happens.
Mm-hmm. And with that might also come an answer whether they could be they could be saved.
Yeah.
Because isn't she with Roswell because of the idea that maybe he could figure out how to save them? What if she learns here that that's not possible?
I mean, we can see the Roswell Echidna connection through Echidna being there with Amelia.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's all I have you.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.